This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. One person was arrested on Tuesday night after driving off an embankment onto Mesaba Avenue in Duluth, forcing the temporary closure of the road. According to the Duluth Police Department, the crash occurred at around 10:45 p.m. in the area of Mesaba Avenue and West 4th Street. The 26-year-old driver of the vehicle was arrested, and officials say alcohol-related charges are pending. A passenger in the vehicle was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Law enforcement authorities are continuing to investigate the crash. A yearly event in Bayfield is set to return this weekend as officials anticipate a bounce back in attendance. The 19th annual Ashwa Bay Summit Nordic Ski Race is set to kick off on Saturday with a 15K and 30K event available for skiers. There will also be a 3.5K race for middle schoolers and a 7.5K race for high schoolers to kick off the day. Event officials say last year's turnout was disappointing thanks to the unseasonably warm weather and overall lack of snow, but they're expecting a much larger turnout for this year's event. Nationwide report cards released on Wednesday found Wisconsin students above the national average for test scores, but also showed a large gap between white and black students. 4th and 8th graders across the state scored a couple points above average in math and reading, with 8th grade math scores being the third highest in the country. However, black 4th graders scored 47 points lower in math and 45 points in reading, and 50 points lower in math and 39 points lower in reading for 8th graders, the largest gap in the country. The Rice Lake City Council has terminated a contract to convert the downtown Rice Lake Heritage Manor into affordable housing. At their meeting this week, the City Council directed the city attorney to inform Movin' Out, the nonprofit handling the renovation of the former nursing home, that their contract to convert it into affordable housing would be terminated. The city also agreed to buy back a property that Wild Daisy LLC had planned to turn into an 8,000 square foot event center after the company decided against pursuing the project. Weeks after the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, state Republicans are proposing a bill that would allow teachers to carry a firearm on campus. The legislation would only allow teachers to carry a firearm if their local school board adopts a policy approving it. Republican leaders say they are unlikely to support increased gun control measures proposed by Governor Tony Evers, like stricter background checks and red flag laws. The bill would also make it easier for those teachers to obtain a gun license. The state legislature's Joint Committee for the Review of Administrative Rules officially overturned the rule banning anglers from carrying a gun while fishing. The Republican-controlled committee voted 7-3 with no discussion to overturn the rule that had been in place since 1999. DNR officials say despite being allowed to carry a firearm now, anglers can only use them for protection and can't use them to shoot at fish. The Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty filed the lawsuit, claiming that the regulation could violate the Second Amendment. The Duluth City Council has announced the approval of a contract agreement with the union that represents nearly 500 city employees. The tentative agreement on Monday provides those city employees with wage increases to more closely match market rates, working condition improvements like updated scheduling and workload expectations, and a commitment to retain and recruit more workers to address staffing shortages. The union had previously voted to authorize a strike if they were unable to come to an agreement. The Ashland City Council has passed an ordinance placing limits on short-term rental properties. Under the ordinance, owners of short-term rental properties will need to apply for a license through the city. They will also need to ensure their property meets the zoning code, has adequate on-site parking, and limits the number of guests that can be accommodated. The ordinance also requires the owner or property manager to be within 30 miles of the property at all times. Officials say the goal is to protect residents near the short-term rental properties. Wisconsin Republicans are asking State Supreme Court Justice Janet Protasiewicz to recuse herself from their appeal to a recent ruling on Act 10. The ruling from a Dane County Circuit Court judge in December overturned most of the law as unconstitutional, saying it violated the equal protection guarantees in the state constitution. Justice Protasiewicz had regularly expressed her belief that Act 10 was unconstitutional when running for the seat in 2023. The Dane County ruling was put on hold pending the result of the Republican appeal. Wisconsin Republicans have introduced legislation that would require state employees to return to their offices. The bill would require all state employees and workers at the Universities of Wisconsin system to return to the office by July, as many continue to work from home. Governor Tony Evers has expressed opposition to forcing a return to the office, saying remote work allows state agencies to hire the best candidates from anywhere in Wisconsin. Employees who were allowed to work from home before the pandemic would still be allowed to do so. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
The Badgers stunned in Maryland. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's basketball, the number 17th ranked Badgers ran into a buzzsaw, losing on the road at Maryland, 76-68. The Terrapins have now won 6 of their last 7 games. The Badgers have lost 2 of their last 3. Greg Gard asked, why does it seem his teams always seem to go into a slump this time of the year?
I don't worry about other years, Mike. On to the next game. We got to get ready for Northwestern, making sure we keep getting better.
They played the Wildcats Saturday afternoon at 1 in Evanston. The Badgers women's team, with an 82-75 upset win at home over Michigan, head coach Marissa Mosley responding to allegations from former player Tess Towers that she was wrongfully accused of fighting during a practice, left behind on a team trip, and mistreated by the coaching staff.
I have fully participated in the university's procedures in regard to this matter. I feel like at this time, I think that's all that really needs to be said.
That's the Badger women's head coach, Marissa Mosley, with sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. There's a new name in the running to play James Bond. Rumors have floated over the last several months that the new 007 would be Nosferatu's Aaron Taylor Johnson, Gladiator 2 star Paul Mescal, or Little Women's James Norton. The latest name that's been added to the list is Outlander star Sam Heughan. The Scottish actor is a huge fan of James Bond and says it would be a thrill to play the role, even though he probably won't be able to wear a kilt. There's a disturbing trend in Hollywood over the last few years, and that is making sequels for films that came out decades ago, with the same actors. The latest franchise to add a chapter is Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. The original film from 1997 starred Lisa Kudrow and Mira Sorvino. Both will return for the sequel and serve as executive producers. The first film was well received with fairly good reviews from critics and audiences. Romy and Michelle fanatics, if there are any, will have to wait a bit though, as production doesn't start until June. Most people probably remember MTV's Tom Green show in the early 2000s. According to the New York Post, the host comedian, who also acted in the awful Freddy Got Fingered, left Hollywood in 2021 and now lives on a farm in Ontario, Canada. Green says it was the best thing he ever did because he is not a Hollywood guy. Green has a new documentary called This is the Tom Green Story you can check out on Amazon Prime. Not sure if Timothée Chalamet is getting a taste of the proceeds from resurgent Bob Dylan songs, but it sounds like he should because he's the one resurging. Chalamet plays Bob Dylan in the Oscar-nominated film A Complete Unknown and hosted Saturday Night Live last weekend, while also appearing as the show's musical guest. The Oscar-nominated actor played the song Tomorrow is a Long Time, one of his personal favorites. The song did not even appear in the film, but is at number 63 on the iTunes Top 100. The Night Agent is a show we've talked about periodically on Nightlight. The second season just dropped on Netflix, and lots of people seem to be finding it. The spy drama drew 14 million viewers in its first 5 days, and according to TheWrap.com, landed in the top 10 most viewed shows in 90 countries. The plot finds an FBI agent sitting in a room in the basement of the White House monitoring a phone that supposedly never rings, until it does, and a conspiracy unfolds. Great premise, and a pretty good show. If you like heist films, you might enjoy the film Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. Gerard Butler is back playing Big Nick, an LA County Sheriff's detective, in the follow-up to the first Den of Thieves from 2018. O'Shea Jackson Jr. is also back as bad guy Donnie Wilson, trying to evade Big Nick, who tracks him across Europe. Jackson's character disappeared at the end of Den of Thieves 1, leaving the story ripe for sequel. The film could be 15 minutes shorter, but does deliver with some high-speed thrills and gunfights through beautiful settings in Europe. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Mostly sunny and unseasonably mild today, a high in the upper 40s to near 50. Mostly clear tonight, low in the upper 20s. And more sun, but not as warm tomorrow, high upper 30s. Breezy and cooler Saturday with some snow showers. Currently it's 26.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.